Stella had not planned to stop that afternoon. She was just walking down a quiet street, tired after a long week, her mind drifting from one thought to another. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the houses. A gentle breeze moved through the trees, carrying the faint smell of dust and old wood. That was when she noticed the yard sale. It was not unusual, but something about it caught her attention. The house behind the sale was spacious and well kept, with clean lines and large windows that reflected the soft evening light. Its exterior had a calm, welcoming feel. Fresh paint, a neatly trimmed lawn, and a wide driveway leading up to a closed garage gave it a sense of care. Nothing about it seemed strange. It was just the kind of comfortable modern home you would expect in a quiet neighborhood. Tables were arranged neatly across the yard, covered with items. Antique lamps, old mirrors with golden frames, stacks of books, porcelain vases, and furniture that looked expensive and carefully cared for. Curious, Stella slowed down and stepped in. First, she only meant to look for a minute. But as she walked between the tables, she found herself drawn in. A grandfather clock with intricate carvings stood tall. A silver tea set gleamed softly under the sunlight. A deep red velvet armchair looked almost too perfect to be outside. Everything felt valuable yet strangely untouched, as if someone had placed it carefully and then just walked away. Then she saw it. The painting. It stood slightly apart from the others, leaning against a wooden stand. The painting was large and incredibly detailed. It showed a luxurious mansion living room, the kind only the very rich could afford. A long, elegant couch with carved wooden edges and soft cream cushions sat in the center. A polished table reflected a soft glow from across the room. In the background, a grand dining table, long and beautifully crafted, was surrounded by tall, finely carved chairs that looked fit for royalty. Everything in the room looked perfect except for one thing. There were no people. Yet there were signs that people had been there. Shoes were placed neatly in front of the couch as if someone had just taken them off. Purses rested on cushions. Personal belongings, books, gloves, even a pair of glasses lay scattered as if left moments ago. Stella could not stop admiring every intricate detail. Beautiful, isn't it? She turned to the salesperson, a woman with a polite smile. Yes, it is stunning, Stella replied softly. How much is it? The woman told her the price. Stella blinked in surprise. That cheap? For something like this? The woman shrugged lightly. The family who lived here left a long time ago. They did not take a single thing. After their lease expired, the owner put everything up for sale when they did not return, even after several notices. That is strange, Stella said, still staring at the painting. I wonder who created this. There is no signature. A painting this detailed should have one. She leaned closer, searching the corners but found nothing. The woman laughed softly. You know how artists are. There is always something mysterious about their work. Stella nodded, still staring. It feels like it means something, she whispered. Like there is a story behind it. Why would all these things be here but no people? The woman simply smiled. Maybe that is for you to figure out. For a moment Stella hesitated. Then she nodded. I will take it. By evening, the painting hung on her bedroom wall. It fit perfectly, as if the spot had been waiting for it. Stella stepped back and admired it. It really is beautiful, she whispered. For a while, everything felt normal. Days passed and life went on. The painting became just another part of her room, something she barely noticed. Until one morning, everything changed. She had just stepped out of the shower and was drying her hair when her eyes drifted casually toward the painting. She froze. There were people inside it. Two couples sat on the couch. An older man and woman sat calmly on one side, while a younger couple sat close together beside them. Stella's breath caught in her throat. What? She whispered. A cold wave of fear washed over her. Her chest tightened, her skin prickled, and her mind struggled to understand what she was seeing. She stared harder, hoping it would change, hoping it was a trick of her eyes. She shut her eyes tightly and then opened them. They were still there. She stepped back slowly, shaking her head. No, this is not real, she said. Her mind tried to explain it away. Maybe she had not noticed them before. Maybe she was too tired. Maybe her eyes were playing tricks. After a long moment, she forced herself to look away. Slowly, she convinced herself to forget it. The next morning proved she could not. She was getting ready for work, grabbing her bag and checking her phone, when her eyes landed on the painting again. Her blood ran cold. There were more people. The couch was now full, and several others sat at the grand dining table behind them. Plates and glasses gleamed under unseen light, as if a gathering was taking place. Stella's heart pounded violently. No, 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 she muttered as she rushed toward it. She rubbed her eyes and looked again. They were still there. Without thinking, she grabbed the painting off the wall. She ran her fingers along every edge, searching for a switch, a button, any hint of technology making the images appear and disappear. There was nothing. Just wood. Just canvas. She gently set the painting back on the wall, consumed by thoughts and questions she had no answers to. She returned that evening with her boyfriend, eager to finally show him the painting she had been talking about all day. As soon as she got to her bedroom, she pushed the door open and walked straight to the wall where it hung. Without hesitation, she reached for it. The moment she grabbed the frame, she froze. Everyone had disappeared. Only the older couple remained, seated exactly where they had been before. The rest were gone. All that was left of them were their shoes, neatly arranged in front of the couch, as if each person had simply stepped out of them and vanished into thin air. Even the dining area, which had been full of people just hours earlier, now sat completely empty. Her fingers tightened around the frame as she stared at it, her breathing becoming uneven. She scanned every inch of the painting over and over again before slowly turning to him. I swear, Jake, there were a lot of people in this painting this morning. First there were 4, then before I left there were like 10, and now there are only 2. When I bought it, no one was even there. A cold wave of fear washed over her as she held her head, trying to make sense of it. Jake looked at the painting and then back at her. His expression was calm but slightly concerned. Stella, you need to relax. You are probably overthinking this. You have been stressed with work lately, and honestly, I think this is just your mind playing tricks on you. Maybe this is your sign to slow down and get some rest. This does not make sense, she said, her voice shaking. I know what I saw. Jake stepped closer, softening his tone. Hey, look at me. You have been exhausted. Anyone would start imagining things under that kind of pressure. Just take a breath, okay? You need rest. She hesitated for a moment, then glanced back at the painting. It looked normal. Completely normal. Almost too normal. After a few seconds, she forced a weak smile and nodded. Yeah, maybe you are right. A few hours later, after they had gone out for a bite and she had managed to calm herself down, Stella returned home and headed upstairs to freshen up for bed. As she reached the top of the stairs, she suddenly stopped. She could hear voices. At first, she thought she was imagining it again. No, this time it was clear. Multiple voices overlapped, talking and arguing. The sound was muffled, but it was definitely coming from her bedroom. Her heart began to race. Convinced someone had broken into her house, she ran outside immediately and called the police, her hands trembling as she explained what she had heard. When they arrived, they searched the entire house thoroughly, checking every room and every corner. But there was no one. No signs of forced entry. Nothing missing. Everything was exactly where it should be. By the time they left, Stella felt more confused than relieved. When Jake arrived shortly after, having rushed over as soon as he got her message, she tried to explain what had happened. I know I heard something, she said. It sounded so real, like people were actually in my room. I am going to spend the night here, Jake said firmly. In the morning, I will check with the neighbors and see if their security cameras caught anything. The next morning, Jake followed through and checked with the neighbors, reviewing footage from every angle. Still, nothing unusual showed up. One of the neighbors casually mentioned they had guests over the night before, and that they had been a bit loud. That is probably what you heard, Jake said when he returned. Sound can travel in weird ways. It just seemed like it was coming from your room. That explanation gave her just enough comfort to start calming down, until her eyes drifted back to the painting. Her heart dropped. Jake, she called, her voice barely steady. Look at this. She took the painting off the wall and turned it toward him. The older couple, they are gone. They were here yesterday. You saw them too, did you not? Jake frowned, staring at it. That is odd. I could have sworn I saw two older people sitting there yesterday. That is it. I am getting rid of it. Without another word, she carried the painting outside and threw it into the trash bin by the street, not even looking back as she walked away. For the first time since all of this started, she felt a sense of relief. But it did not last. Later that day, after spending time out with Jake to clear her head, she returned home, walked upstairs and stepped into her bedroom. She let out a scream. The painting was back, hanging on the wall, exactly where it had been before. Jake came running upstairs. What happened? She pointed at the wall, unable to speak at first. The painting. I threw it out. I know I did. Jake stared at it in disbelief. That is impossible. Did you bring it back in? Why would I do that? She snapped. Did you bring it in? How could I? He replied. We have been together all day. Something is definitely going on. Determined to understand what they were dealing with, Jake took a picture of the painting and searched for it online. At first, nothing unusual came up, just similar living room designs. Then something caught his attention. Wait, look at this. He zoomed in on the couch in the painting. After digging a little deeper, he found it. The design was a replica of a rare luxury couch from the early 20th century, a time when such furniture symbolized wealth and status. The original had belonged to a powerful and extremely wealthy family who lived during that same period. As he read further, his expression changed. This family, people believed they were different. According to old reports and whispered stories, they possessed strange and unsettling abilities. They could move objects without touching them, influence what people saw and heard, and even trap energy or people inside objects. Some believed they could appear and disappear at will, existing somewhere between the physical world and something else entirely. They were really powerful, Jake continued, his voice lower now. People stayed away from them. There is even a legend that they never actually died, that they are still alive somehow. No one knows where or how. I am going to burn this painting, Stella said suddenly. That is the only way to get rid of it. I cannot have this thing in my house anymore. But as she reached for it, the painting changed again. This time it was filled with people, standing close together as if posing for a family portrait. There were more of them than she had ever seen before. This must be the entire family, Jake said. Do you think they can hear us? He added quietly. Stella stepped forward, her voice trembling. What do you want from me? I did not bargain for this. I do not want you in my house. Tears streamed down her face. Suddenly, the room went dark. The door slammed shut. A powerful wind began to blow through the room, even though the windows were closed. Jake grabbed Stella and pulled her into the corner as they crouched down, watching in fear. The painting lifted into the air, spinning with the wind. Then something began to emerge. First, the older couple stepped out one by one, followed by the younger couple behind them. Stella and Jake froze, unable to speak. The older woman stepped forward. Do not be afraid, she said calmly. My name is Beatrice, and this is my husband, our son, and our daughter-in-law. They were dressed in clothing from the early 20th century. The man wore a perfectly tailored suit with polished shoes and a pocket watch chain resting neatly against his vest. Beatrice wore a structured dress with long sleeves, fitted at the waist, her hair styled in careful vintage curls. The younger couple behind them were just as refined, but their expressions were cold and almost empty. Please leave us alone, Jake shouted. Do not harm us. Just go away. But we cannot, Beatrice replied calmly. We did not ask you to bring us here. Now that you have, we cannot leave until our mission is fulfilled. What mission? Stella asked, her voice shaking. Everything you've heard about us is true, Beatrice said calmly. We possess very strong supernatural powers, abilities that have run in our family since the beginning of time. We can do almost anything. But you see, we lived in a time when people were not open-minded. It became dangerous for us to walk freely among them. We became targets. People believed we were dangerous, that we needed to be destroyed. But we never hurt anyone. We only wanted to live like everyone else. Her expression softened slightly. Because of this, we had to retreat from the physical world. We used our powers to create a home for ourselves inside this painting. She paused for a moment. The only problem is that house is the only world we have. There is no outside. We cannot see the sun or trees or rainbows or even the change in weather." Her voice grew quieter. "For people who did nothing wrong, it is a very unhappy life to live. And we do not deserve it. We deserve better." "What do you want then?" Jake asked cautiously. "Just tell us and we will help you as long as you promise to go away." A faint smile appeared on Beatrice's face. "Well, that brings me to my next point. You can help us, but the only way to do that is by trading places with us." "What?" Stella cried. "What do you mean?" Beatrice bent down, picked up the painting from the floor, and turned it toward them. "Do you see all these people in the painting?" she said. "They were once residents of the homes our painting found its way into. One by one, they traded places with us so that we could finally live the life we were denied." Stella looked closely. This time, she noticed something she had not seen before. None of the people in the painting were dressed like Beatrice and her family. Their clothes were modern, but their faces were empty and unhappy. A chill ran down her spine. "You must be crazy if you think we are going to be part of whatever this is," Jake shouted. "Get out of our house." In that moment, he lunged toward Beatrice, trying to shove her away, but his body passed straight through her. He hit the ground hard. Stella froze. What had looked like a real person standing in front of her was not solid at all. "I was trying to be polite," Beatrice said, her expression hardening. "But it seems you want this done the difficult way." She raised her hand slightly. In an instant, Jake's arms and legs were forced down by something invisible. He struggled, but he could not move. "Jake!" Stella screamed, rushing to him. "Are you okay?" "My arms, my legs," he said, struggling. "It feels like they are tied. I cannot move." "What have you done?" Stella cried, looking up at Beatrice, her eyes filled with tears. "Please let him go. He has nothing to do with this." "I will," Beatrice replied calmly. "I will not hurt either of you as long as you cooperate." She stepped a little closer. "You both must trade places with my son and daughter-in-law." She glanced briefly at the younger couple behind her. "If there were more people living here, it would have been easier. The four of us could have left together. But now we must wait until this painting is taken to another home." A small smile formed on her lips. "In time, my husband and I will make it out as well. And we will be reunited with our family, living our lives to our full potential." Stella collapsed beside Jake, crying as she held on to him. "It is okay," Jake said softly, forcing a small smile. "Do not cry. No matter where we are, we will always be together. I will never let you go. As long as I am with you, I will always be okay, whether it is here or somewhere far away." "I love you forever, Jake," she sobbed. "I love you too," he replied. Beatrice slowly raised her hands. The wind returned, stronger this time. It roared through the room, spinning violently around them. Stella and Jake felt their bodies lift off the ground, pulled into the air as everything around them blurred. They reached for each other but lost their grip. "Jake! Stella!" Their voices echoed through the darkness, but they could not see anything. The wind was too strong. Everything went black. Then there was silence. After what felt like forever, Stella slowly opened her eyes. She was lying flat on the floor, dazed. It felt like she had been unconscious for some time. She lifted her head slightly, trying to remember what had just happened. Then she looked around. She was no longer in her room. She was in a large, lavish mansion. Strangers stood all around her, staring. Her heart dropped instantly. "Jake! Jake!" she screamed, crawling across the floor, her eyes searching frantically. "Stella!" She turned just as Jake forced his way through the crowd and rushed toward her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yes," she said quickly, holding on to him and looking him over. "You're free. Your arms and legs are no longer tied." "They might have let me go," Jake said quietly, "but they took our freedom in return." He pointed toward the front of the room. "Look." Stella slowly got to her feet and walked forward. At the far end of the room, Beatrice's son and daughter-in-law were placing the painting, the same one she and Jake were now trapped in, back on the wall where it had hung before. They held hands, smiled at each other, and walked away. Stella lost herself in her stare, then felt a soft touch on her shoulder. She turned to see Beatrice standing behind her, smiling warmly. "Welcome home, Stella," she said as her smile widened slightly. "Welcome home." The end.